Swipe Up, episode 242, the podcast where I share my unfiltered thoughts on the latest news and entertainment updates. I am your host, Ray Taylor. The debt deal imposes new work requirements for food aid. Democrats are conflicted about the food aid requirements negotiated by President Biden as part of the debt ceiling deal. The negotiations focused on toughening work requirements for the supplemental nutritional assistance program, aka SNAP, commonly known as food stamps. Democrats reluctantly accepted the new requirements for some able-bodied recipients in exchange for food aid. Republicans agreed to drop some work requirements for veterans, homeless people, and others. They reluctantly agreed to do those things. They don't care about veterans or homeless people. They don't care about anybody that's not a millionaire plus donating to their campaigns. They could care less. The deal resulted in frustration among many Democrats who struggled to reconcile cutting access for food for marginalized communities with avoiding default on the nation's debt. The new requirements will apply to able-bodied adults ages 49 to 54 without dependents. So if you're almost my age, requiring them to work or attend training programs for at least 80 hours a month. Okay, that's 80 hours a month. That's like part-time, I guess. Yeah, part-time. Hours a month receiving more than 3 months of SNAP. Requiring them to work or attend training programs for up to at least 80 hours a month to receive more than 3 months of SNAP benefits within a 3-year period. Republicans, like the math involved in trying to figure out if, like, just to give somebody food is absolutely ridiculous. Republicans have long advocated for expanding work requirements, arguing that they lead to increased workforce participation, despite studies suggesting otherwise. I mean, people who work at Walmart are given like government program pamphlets when they're hired because Walmart knows they're not paying people enough to actually survive. Like, if they don't want people to be on government programs, but they also don't want to raise the minimum wage so people can get paid enough to survive, like, it's not like they're disagreeing with one thing and have an alternative path for people to like live with dignity. It's like they don't want people to get paid a living wage, and when they get a job that doesn't pay them a living wage, they don't want to do anything to help them survive. Like, at every point, somebody trying to pick themselves up and, like, let's say you're somebody that wants to elevate your status in this world, right? Maybe you're poor, you're working at a job at Walmart and you don't get paid enough to survive, so you're also on government-assisted programs to feed yourself, right? And then on the weekends, where maybe you get a half a day because you're not working 2 jobs, and you go to the library that allows you to get access to the internet and books and all these things to potentially, like, educate yourself. In places like New York, they're cutting libraries, forcing them to close on weekends so that they can pump up the already inflated police salaries, police budgets. Or they want to make it so college costs, like, multiple years of salary if you're they want people to go into massive amounts of debt. Like, it's not like they have paths for people to pull themselves up by the bootstraps. They're literally trapping people in realities they have no way of getting out of, and then yelling at those people for not somehow magically getting out of their situation. It is absolutely ridiculous. The White House countered Republican proposals by exempting certain groups such as veterans, homeless individuals, and youth aging out of foster care from work requirements. The changes in the debt ceiling package are projected to add nearly 80,000 people to the SNAP rolls each month. But the trade-off between helping some groups while potentially hurting others left many progressive Democrats frustrated, obviously. There's like a few people in government that actually try to do things, and it's a small percentage of one party, and the vast majority of everybody else, the entire Republican Party, and then like the majority of Democrats, they're all owned by rich people and corporations, and they all kind of work to the same end. Now, the Republicans going harder in the fascism and really trying to remove a lot of human rights and freedoms that we have, and trying to make it easy to eradicate and eliminate certain parts of the population they have unjustly labeled as the problem. But it's just so there's very few, if any, politicians that actually represent what I would like to see in the world, which is sad. It's sad to live in a country where the majority of politicians don't represent anything. We have like a whole party that represents some of the most evil shit, right? Doing all of the things and following in all of the steps that Hitler laid out in the early 1900s. But then even on the other side that's supposed to be at least somewhat pretending to care about people, even the majority of them are in the pockets of so many big corporations that it's like, what's even the point? Advocates warn that the compromise could pave the way for future cuts, which, of course, to the government-assisted programs, which they don't want. Republicans don't want any government programs. They don't want public schools. They don't want public anything. The only thing they want the government to be used for is to generate income for the ultra-wealthy and mega corporations. That is the only purpose they are trying to engineer the government to deal with and to support are those interests of the wealthy people and the ultra wealthy. They don't want the government to do anything for the people. And they've convinced all of the 9-volt battery like sheep people that follow them and love the hate that they spew, that they've convinced them that having no regulations is somehow going to lift them out of poverty or improve their social situation or financial situations. It's just mind-blowing. It is mind-blowing, this fairy tale of unregulated capitalism and this fairy tale of free market capitalism, as if the richest people wouldn't just buy up. Like this idea that anybody would be able to compete with any of these major corporations or billionaires, like that regulations are the things that are keeping them from success, is just like, it is the most delusional way of thinking. Because every time regulations get cut, like the opposite happens. Every time they get rid of regulations, they make it harder for everyday people to compete in the marketplace. And you see big businesses just consolidating into mega corporations. Anyway, and this whole deal, like, is just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And they, of course, the news networks are trying to pump it up like, yay, we're able to raise the debt ceiling, which should have been a no-brainer. But because the Republicans are like, have the smallest amount of control, and we're demanding the most radical cuts, they end up getting the majority of what they wanted, which is just screwing people over even more. Screwing the everyday American over even more than we are already being bent over and screwed over for. It's just ridiculous. Sources for that, apnews.com. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Swipe Up. I don't care if you don't like what I say. It's not my job to tell you what you want to hear. It's your job as a human being to move on if you don't like it. And the worst thing you can do if you don't like what I'm saying is to comment, to interact at all. Because your interaction only tells the algorithm that people want to hear more. And let me tell you, all of the hate that I get for this episode that I do every week gets so much hate. And it's one of the only reasons I still do it. I don't really care about, what's going on in the world is horrible enough. It kind of gives me an outlet to talk shit about stuff, things that I would have put on Twitter before Elon Musk ruined Twitter, because that's what Elon Musk is really good at doing, is ruining things these days. So it gives me that kind of an outlet, but then all the hate that comes on YouTube, it is laughable. All these people. But for those that aren't the haters that love to just cry, these fragile little snowflake conservatives just crying in my comments, struggling to spell words correctly, struggling to form complete sentences. These people and then some people with so much time on their hands that they will write multiple paragraphs, like 10 paragraphs, which I never read. And sometimes when I see the very long replies, I just delete them off of YouTube because I have that control, because it's my YouTube channel. And it makes me feel so good to know that I just wasted your time. Because you're trying to waste my time, like I care. Great. Please join the conversation if you feel. Try and be positive. Every once in a while there's positivity, but usually it's the hate. You can do that over on YouTube. I really should just take this off. Just don't interact. Until then, regardless, if you comment, you interact, you hate, you block, you thumbs down, whatever you do, I'll see you next Thursday for more of this. Fresh perspective and unfiltered opinions.
New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.